Let's watch a CNN panel as they discuss some of the final words Biden left us with in his last speech, notably him warning of a rising oligarch, which is definitely true, though Biden does represent that same ilk just on the Democratic side. But I want to tune into the CNN panel and see what's said and what we can add.
Well, of course he's right, but the part that he didn't mention is that both parties are participating in this oligarchy. There's gambling in the casino. The corruption didn't start with Donald Trump. He's just less bashful about it than most. But the fact is that President Biden was president for 4 years. You didn't see him advance legislation for campaign finance reform. You didn't see him take up the mantle of getting money out of politics. Kamala Harris raised $1 billion in a month. So for him to say, oh, wait, I'm warning about the oligarchy, of course he's right. But it's a little too late. That's what I said.
I think you're probably right about most of that. But what is happening right now is that a handful of major companies and the ones that the men that lead them are saying in the next 4 years is going to be a make or break for AI. And the person who gets closest to Donald Trump the fastest and gives him the most money is going to win that race.
Trump does represent a unique evil when we're speaking of this because of the way that he's more brash and in the open, and with the way his base will justify anything he does and won't believe any institution that speaks against him, and anyone he speaks against is instantly just, corrupt. Trump obviously does and then gets away with more corruption than we've ever seen at this level. He gets that free pass to an extent that no one else ever has, all the while representing the last guard in the battle against it. Because if he gets what he wants, this will all become normalized, and then there will just be a new Trump every election cycle, right? Having the 3 richest men in the world suck up to the president for legislative favor, appointing 13 billionaires in your cabinet, just clearly and openly going against the interests of the working class, will be normalized. As big tech understands now, you just have to throw money and compliments behind Trump. And if the base will just get behind that and he can continue it, then why not continue it, right? Where these people, again, they just have a vested interest in shaping AI regulation, tariffs, and destroying things like the FTC and the CFPB that protects us consumers from these industry giants.
We celebrate in America the American dream. It's our number one export. Zuck was a college student once. Look what he's created, how many jobs, how much taxes has he paid? Elon Musk, maybe the most successful entrepreneur in history, another aspect of the American dream, just showing you what can happen. We should be celebrating this. And by the way, that message that Biden put out there, that was Harris's probably number one message during the election. How'd that work for her? Not so well.
You think that was her number one message?
I think so.
I don't think so.
No. Remember she said,
I agree.
We have Trump coming and all the bad things about concentration of wealth. Americans appreciate the ability to pursue the American dream every day, and we do not push down on success ever. So yes, Musk is rich. So what?
Okay, to be clear, this idea of the American dream hasn't existed in decades because of rich guys like Kevin O'Leary and Mark Zuckerberg, because of wealth hoarders like them. None of these guys represent the American dream either that they love to talk about. Zuckerberg was born into an upper middle class family in a wealthy neighborhood who could afford to send him to private school, to prep academies, and then to Harvard. This is the truth with most of these self-made millionaires or billionaires. Self-made billionaire, complete myth. But most self-made millionaires were born into 6 figures and then just increase that by like 100,000 or less with buying a house, right? That increases their net worth in a more expensive state or something as simple like that. And then they go on like Zuck and O'Leary to take advantage of others to build their wealth from there. The truth is less than 10% of people born into poverty make it to the top 10%. This is because those in the top 10% are hoarding wealth and not paying their fair share. Most people die in the same income bracket they were born into. And most kids aren't even out earning their parents anymore if they're born in the middle class. This has lots to do with the lies of trickle-down economics told by Republicans and the facts that corporations, while seeing record profits year after year in their increases, worker pay still remains the same. They have no incentive to pay them more. It's all a sham, which is why it's always people like O'Leary saying that this dream is real, because they're benefiting from the current makeup of how the economy is structured. And then they'll point to like the 3 people out of millions who did build their wealth as some sort of proof, though with anything else, they'll say the exception doesn't create the rule. Like there's literally no consistency in these people's logic.
The American dream is real. And if you work hard, you should be able to prosper, but everybody should play by the same rules, and it shouldn't just be billionaires get to continue to expand their wealth while the working class Americans that so many Democrats acknowledge they weren't able to
Let me say
connect
on
with.
the billionaire front, I don't think. I think it's hard to say that Joe Biden was punishing them when Jeff Bezos was famously at one of the more recent state dinners in the Biden White House, when Bezos and SpaceX, Elon Musk's company, have all of these contracts with the Biden administration agencies. So it's hard for me to know how he was punishing them. But to me, let's go back. I'd like to go back big picture to this address today. I don't think it was an address for today. I think it was an address for history and posterity and how the Biden administration is going to be seen.
The first thing to point out is exactly why I've tried to push so hard for us to start remembering what these guys say and then analyzing the patterns in their logic and these things, because the lack of consistency really just shows how you can't take anything MAGA says serious. Just prior to the election, Democrats were the party of the elite. They abandoned the worker. They were in the hands of the corporation and the billionaires and the elite class. And remember, right? Trump and Republicans were the party of the worker now. Remember how MAGA was saying that? But now since the election has happened and Trump's went mask off with being, populist, and he's shown like, hey, yeah, like we're doing the billionaire thing. The 3 richest people in the world have me in their pocket. It's back to the old attack line for MAGA voters of Democrats just want to punish billionaires. Why do they want to be mean to the little old billionaires? Like, Republicans literally have it so easy. Their base is the most easily led, gullible group of people I've ever seen. They'll be mad that the Dems favor elites, and then they'll be mad that they're harsh on elites. Like, it's like, where's the consistency in just a couple weeks? Like 1 month ago, MAGA was literally in my comments, or I guess right before the election, MAGA was in my comments like, Democrats are the party of the billionaire now. All these billionaires and corporations are donating to Democrats, and they want them to succeed and all of this. And now they're literally in my comments 2 months later, and they're like, Democrats hate billionaires because they're more successful and they want to do socialism and and it's like, literally, which one is it? Right? Like, let's just stick, it's whatever the way the wind blows. I just ooze fraba, right? Think of the American dream, however, like a pie. There's not enough to go around for everyone. As sad as it is, there's not. Everyone takes a piece of the pie, and then in return, you give back some ingredients. That way you can make another pie. And this is how we keep enough pie theoretically for everyone. But if the fat cat billionaires keep taking huge slices, the size of like 4 or 5 of our slices, and then they're not giving anything back, or if they do give something back, it's like 1 berry, like half of what we're giving. There's not going to be enough for the rest of us. And that's what's happening in the economy, where things aren't infinite in the economy, right? They're finite. And they're hoarded in the top 10%, right? The American dream is real, and we should be feeling it, especially when we're creating record profits, when worker productivity is at all-time highs, but instead we're allowing all the profit to be directed to the top where it's then hoarded. It's objectively an economic policy failure when less than 10% of a population controls over 50% of that country's wealth.